Hey friends, it's Tanya. Welcome to my channel. Today I am celebrating my good friend and fellow teammate Jayma Malme. Jayma reached 20,000 YouTube subscribers and I am so proud of her. So Jayma asked me and a group of ladies to be a part of a celebration, and we are going to choose one of her layouts to scrap lift and recreate here on our channels. I have already started the prep work and I'm super excited to show you what I have come up with. It was a tough choice which layout to choose because she makes so many fabulous layouts. But I think I come up with something pretty good. I'm excited to share it with you. So I am going to create a 2-page layout, and these are some of the products that I chose to use. So this paper collection is the Utterly Adorable Paper Collection by Stampin' Up. And I thought this paper collection went really well with my photos. This is a recent trip I took with my husband, and it was also a celebration, and I'm going to tell you all about that here in a few minutes. Okay, but this paper is perfect for beach photos, for my photos. Okay, and the back of these, all these papers is two-sided, is otters. This is why it's the Utterly Adorable Paper Collection. Now, I don't have any otters in my photos, and I don't plan on using any of these sheets, but if you liked these, you could think aquarium or down by the pond or the lake, or maybe you've even been to the zoo and you've seen otters. So it's super cute. But I'm going to focus on these papers right here. Now, and if I flip, which one is it? This one over. I love that. And I thought these went really well with my photos. Now I'm going to bring in some stamp sets, and I know for sure I'm going to use this Ocean Friends, this Happy Hibiscus, and the Seaside Wishes. And they also have metal dies, and I will be bringing in those dies as well. Let me show you the sketch. So this is the layout Jayma created, okay? This is page number 1, and here is page number 2. And the reason why I chose this layout is because this was her very first layout when she joined Stampin' Up with me, and I thought that that was pretty cool. So I am going to scrap lift her very first Stampin' Up layout. So Jayma did work off of a sketch. And this is the sketch that she used. And I'm going to show you the things that she changed. And then you're going to see the things that I changed. Now, she put 21 photos on her layout, and I am going to use 12. I'm going to use white for my background. And I cut this pattern paper because it reminded me of the sand in my photos. And this brown actually matches my photos really well. And then I cut this pattern paper for the 2 strips that are going to go down on either side here. And then I went, I kind of looked at my photos and I thought, did I want this Lost Lagoon kind of color, or did I want this color blue for my watercolor? And they're both perfect. But if you look at my photos, which I have both of those colors in my photos, these particular photos are in Key Colony Beach, and that is in Marathon. This is in the Keys of Florida. And like I said, if you look at the waters, I've got all these beautiful colors in my water. The water there is just gorgeous. You can see down to the bottom. It's beautiful. But I went with this blue because I thought that it matched my photos. It's going to give the contrast that I really want when I do my frames in the background. So I went with this shade of blue. And this is Balmy Blue. And that other color was Calypso Coral, not Lost Lagoon. But it doesn't matter. I'm not using it. So I just thought that these pattern papers together complemented my photos. And I think I want that one on top instead. Okay, yes, I do. And then I'm going to have 3 photos that go down here. And I'm going to show you this a little bit more. And then I am going to move these photos. I'm going to put this one in the center. These photos will be down here and this one will be here. Okay. Okay, so when I printed these with this white border around the edge. So I went ahead and I backed these ones with white cardstock, and I put this little grid style, and I did the same here. So I'm thinking I want to bring in this pretty peacock cardstock, and I'm going to put that behind this photo for sure. And then, and you know what, last video I did and this one, I spilt glue twice. So I'm gonna have to reprint this photo, but I spilt it right here. Don't use glue over your photos. I cannot be trusted with the glue bottle over my photos. So I'm gonna reprint this because I don't like that. But I'm thinking that this is gonna be kind of like this and up like this, and this will be over here like this. And then I also went ahead and I cut these photos because I want these to stand up from that background. And I am going to put my additional photos in flip flaps, and I will show you that here in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to do something like this. And I put those additional ones in these flip flaps. So this is like a little pocket, and it has a sticky on it like this, and you can attach it directly to here, and this is going to flip up, so this would be like behind your photo, or behind your mat I should say, like this. And then you could put like a little slit in your plastic sleeve, so then it just flips up. Or this is strong enough that you can attach it directly to the top of your memory protector, and it will stay stuck. And I'm going to do it that way this time. I'm going to put it on top of my plastic sleeve. But this photo is going to go here, and I haven't chosen a photo for right there yet. I think I'm going to actually do a little something different right there besides a photo. And this was fun. I took these photos. I saw this little bird out there where this was like at a restaurant down in Key Colony Beach. Actually, this was in Marathon, and which Key Colony Beach is in Marathon. But I saw this like penguin, and then I just caught this like not penguin, penguin, not penguin. Anyways, I saw this bird, and he started to fly away, and I was just like, I just thought it was a really cool, the birds down there are just so pretty. The birds, the flowers, everything's pretty in the Keys, right? The water, but pelican. Anyways, I just like, for the life of me, I couldn't think of that. But I'm going to like take additional cardstock, and I'm going to put that, so this is going to be glued here, and this will be glued this way. And so those will go in there. And so when this flips up, I'll have a mat there and a mat here. Okay. Because these photos are like 2 3/4, and these pockets are 3 by 3. So I haven't decided if I want to do something behind here and something behind here yet, but I wanted to show you that. I'm going to do a little bit of ink distressing around these background pieces. Now this is Early Espresso, which is this color. I don't want it to be super bold, okay? I want it to be real subtle, but I want to make it stand up a little bit and give it a little separation. So I'm going to use Crumb Cake, which is a lot lighter shade, okay? So I'm just going to get some ink on that. I'm going to show you this real quick. And a way to kind of see, like this photo is going to be covering it, a way to see like if I like it would be just to kind of do like in the middle here and then kind of lay it down, and I like that. Let me show you what I'm talking about, how it gives it, like I'll do here, like it gives it a little bit of separation. I'm going to do this with all these pieces here in the background. I think I'm even going to do the water piece. So I'll do all the other ones first and then see if I'm going to do that in the blue or I want to do that in this Crumb Cake. So let me show you this real quick. So you see that? I just really like it. I really like how it kind of it finishes that. So I went ahead and I cut out a bunch of die cuts. and I'm going to show you where I got these from, but I have a bunch of them. I want to do a little ink treatment to them, and these are going to be what I'm going to play with for my embellishment clusters. And like I said, I'm going to show you where I got all of these and how I'm going to do it. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I might need a little glitter. So here's a little white glitter, and then I cut them in plain white. And I'm not worried about it because if I don't use these on this, I'm going to save those for Christmas. And I'll just throw them in my December daily stuff. But I went ahead and cut all these. And then I made these, and I'm going to show you these. These are both done with 3D embossing folders and die cuts, and I'm going to show you that. Okay, so I'm going to bring in all of these colors right here. Oh, I cut these too. And then I cut these. And I saved like the little inside pieces to those because I might want to put a few in there. I like how it looked with the empty ones, but then with them added a few in there, I like that too. So I did save those. Okay, but I'm going to use my Balmy Blue, my Crumb Cake, and then I'm going to use I have Old Olive, I have Lost Lagoon, and then I have my Pretty Peacock. Now these, let me show you. I wanted to add in a little bit of this peachy color. And so I looked at my husband's shirt, and this would have went just fine. This is the Petal Pink, okay, and it is two-toned. So this is the two-toned, but I really didn't, it looked a little orangey to me, and I didn't like it. So I went to my Close to My Heart cardstock, and I pulled out my peach, and my peach went really well. And it matched my photos from my layout. So I used the lighter side. So I'm going to show you that. So besides that, I then brought in my peach ink and my melon ink of my Close to My Heart. So these are the inks that I'm going to bring in right now. And I'm going to bring in a bunch of blending brushes. So I used the Texture Floral, and I got this sprig here, and then here, I'll move these a little closer. And then this sprig here. And I got this one here. And then I brought in my Beauty of the Deep stamp. And I used this single die. This doesn't match my stamp. I love that about Stampin' Up! Stamps. Like, so they have additional die cuts in here that are singular like dies that you can just use, and they have like a lot of detail, and I love that. So you have the ones that match your stamps and then additional ones. So I use this one here. So I brought in my Seaside Wishes, and this one here has a 3D embossing folder, and I used my metal dies. So I thought I could possibly bring in this one, and I can maybe bring in this starfish. I hadn't decided, but I think I got plenty here, but I have these for a backup. I brought in my Ocean Friends, and I used these, and then I used this. Now, if you have the Seaside Wishes, this sort of has some of that seaweed on there, but it has a little opening right there where this one had this line. It was just a little different detail, but they're very similar, so if you don't have the one, but I liked the additional pieces. I brought in my Happy Hibiscus, and I brought in, oh, that is also a 3D embossing folder, so I'm going to show you that. Okay, so I use that. And then I got this one from Friends for Life, and it had this die right here, so I used that. So you could use a different one if you had it. So I'm going to bring in my Happy Hibiscus embossing folder. So I'm just going to show you this real quick, how I did this. Okay, so I took my stamped image and I stamped my flower on white cardstock in the melon. And then I just took my peach and I took a blending brush, and then I just went over it, and you're going to see on the, I'm going to show you on here. I just kind of went over it real light with the peach. And then if you can see, there's like, if you can see this side, there's like a whole bunch of detail on that, and it brings all this in, which gave it that embossed look that it just gave it an extra wow, a lot more detail. So that was for all of these. Isn't that cute? So it was like one cut. So this is your embossing folder, and you can use it as a regular embossing folder. Okay, make a really pretty card with that. So I put it in here, and it goes on here, and locks in place, okay, right in the middle there, okay, and my paper was there with my stamped image, and then I run it through, and so it die cut and impressed this image onto it as well, okay. So that's the same for these sand dollars, okay? That's a 3D embossing folder too. So not only did I die cut out, it pressed the image into it. So I'm bringing a little scratch paper here and tap off on it. I just want to add a little bit of ink on this, like kind of right in the middle to give it that little bit of sand look, that sand dollar. And I think that's really cute. Okay, let me show you what I'm going to do for the rest of these. So I'm going to bring in the coordinating cardstock with the coordinating ink. And then I'm just going to do a little ink treatment for each one of these. I'm not going to make you watch it, but I just kind of show you that I'm just going to give it like more detail. And it's going to look a little darker, but it will dry lighter. Okay, but it's going to give it a lot more detail. So I'm going to do that to each one of my pieces here.
I'm going to build my embellishment clusters in the same spot that's on that sketch. This is also going to create my visual triangle, which will draw your eye completely around my layout. I'm going to speed through this process so you can watch how I build my clusters and get an idea of how I move things around and a little bit of my thought process while I'm doing this. But I do want to use this opportunity to tell you my story. So this past January, my husband and I went to Colony Key Beach in Marathon, which is in the Keys of Florida. But this was an accidental vacation destination. We already had a trip planned to Key West for April for our anniversary, so I was kind of wanting to go somewhere a little different. He pulled out the map and found this location, this little island off of Miami, and it was called Colony Key. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool because we'll just go over to Miami and go to Miami Beach and kind of check out Miami. So he reserved us a place, and after we got the email, we got the address, I Googled it to check out the location, and I said to him, we are not going to Miami. And he's like, what do you mean? We're going to Miami? No, we went to the Keys because that is the address that we booked. But I'm so glad that we went to this location because it was just gorgeous, and we had the most relaxing, beautiful time together, and it was a lot of fun, and I would have never visited this location and stayed here had that not happened. We took this little trip to celebrate my 50th birthday. Yes, 50. Shh, don't tell anybody. But this accidental destination trip turned out to be the perfect destination, and it made for a great story and a memorable birthday, and I'm so glad that we were able to go there. It's definitely a birthday I won't forget. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you for supporting my channel. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment in the description box below. I would really love to hear if you use sketches when creating your scrapbook layouts. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to grow my channel, and I really appreciate you helping me to do that. You can shop for these products or products like this on my website, and I will leave that link in the description box below. For my title, I dove into my stash and I pulled this Are We There Yet stamp set by Close to My Heart, and I'm going to use the Our Getaway Stampin' Die, and I'm going to stamp that in Pretty Peacock.
So I'm going to pull in this little saying here as my subtitle, and I was thinking that could go right here. And then I want to pull in some of these flat adhesive backed pearls. I love these, and I thought those would be super pretty, especially with my little tiny bit of white glitter paper.
Do you see that little dessert up there in that top photo? That is deep fried key lime pie. I'm not kidding. Everyone should try that. It was awesome.
So I'm just going to bring in my Wink of Stella, because I have a little bit of shine here, a little bit of shine here. I'm just going to put this kind of in the center of my flowers. I did want to show you that I got that little saying out of an old Close to My Heart stamp, D1684. So let me give you a close look real quick. Isn't that pretty? I love that shine, a little wet kind of ocean, a little sparkly pretty because it was so beautiful there. And then here's what that embellishment cluster looks like. I love it. So I'm going to put my journaling here, and I will do that. I will type that up on my computer. And then I will kind of slip it in right underneath of this photo right here and have that right here because I definitely want to tell this story. And when these dry, I'm going to take my page protector and I'm going to make sure, since it's going to be this way, I'll flip it this way. I will put that in there, and then I will go ahead and I will put these right on top. And these will go right here and they will flip up. If you're looking for more fun beachy layouts, check out my next video.